Steve Mariucci in his Mondays with Mooch segment here on the Rich Eisen Show. What do you think? Favre, of all people, saying this now.
Well, yeah, I know it. And he and Tony are really good friends. Tony's from Wisconsin, right? You know that. And so
yeah, he had Favre posters on his wall as a kid.
Yeah, and here's the thing, though, Rich. Brett is coming from a different spot, I think. Brett never missed a game, okay? 321 in a row. He never missed a game. So he knows that Tony has been banged up and has had several injuries, shoulders, backs, you name it, and there's been an issue with his dependability. And so that's where he's coming from. It's like, all right, he's probably going to be hurt again at some point when he comes back, and he does make a good point, because it is so hard for teams. There's only a handful of teams in the league each year that have momentum, and they have chemistry, and they have that mojo, and they have that rhythm, and it's just happening for them week after week. That's hard to find, and it's hard to attain. And what he's saying is they've got it right now, and I think it's very obvious to everybody. They've got it. Why disrupt the apple cart right now with a guy who's been hurt? And so I think that's where Brett's coming from. And yeah, but don't. I just heard those poll numbers. You never believe any poll numbers these days. But, the chances of Tony Romo being the quarterback next year, think about this. What if Jerry Jones, who said on your show last week, puts Tony back in there, okay? Tony's going to win games if he's healthy. This is a good football team. He's going to win games. What if Tony Romo comes back and wins the darn Super Bowl? You know what? He's going to be the quarterback next year for the Dallas Cowboys if he does really well with that team, and I think he would. Yeah, he changed the offense a little bit and all that, but don't count him out.
Steve Mariucci joining me here. Give me the reasons why Romo would perform better than Dak Prescott. How will this offense actually be in the care of Romo? Yeah. That would make this team better? Give me the coach's point of view on that, Steve.
If you break down the passing game in general with Dak right now, and he's been very efficient, but efficient at what they're doing. They're throwing the ball quickly. They're throwing the ball short and intermediate. He's on the move where you narrow the field down to half, and its higher percentage is lower risk, and he can protect himself in the ball when he leaves the pocket. There's some really good things that are going on. They don't attempt to throw the ball down the field much at all. And so Tony would give them that part of the playbook that has been limited recently. Now, you can't say they haven't been good. They're scoring points and controlling the clock and all of the good things. But Tony Romo gives them more of the playbook and more potential explosive plays, which I suppose says more risk-taking. But I think with Tony back, if he's healthy, they will be really good too.
Well, obviously for an opponent to put the pressure on Dak Prescott to do that, or Romo to do that, they'd have to stop Ezekiel Elliott, which nobody is doing right now, Steve.
I think it all starts with that offensive line, and they have been drafting over the last handful of years early draft choice offensive linemen, and boy, is it paying dividends. And the other unsung hero here, we don't talk much about it, is Rod Marinelli's defense. They are better than expected. Remember all those suspensions that we were talking about early in the year, and Greg Hardy and everybody's suspended for 4 weeks and blah, blah, blah. How are they going to stop anybody? Well, Dak Prescott hasn't been having to play from behind. They're in control all the time because that defense is playing way better than I ever expected them to play. So right now they've got it rolling on momentum like we've talked about earlier, both sides of the ball. They're going to have a little bye. They can kind of just relax and just kind of enjoy and pat themselves on the back a little bit. But boy, do they look like they're in the driver's seat. Huh?
Yeah, and I said it at the top of the show, our Thursday night game, 1st of December, with both teams coming off their Thanksgiving games and a full complement of weeks' worth of rest. Dallas at Minnesota. I mean, it would be interesting that the team that winds up standing in the way of Dallas to get to the promised land is coached by two former coordinators in Zimmer and Norv Turner. I mean, get ready to talk about that all week coming up in the beginning of December. I got Steve Mariucci here. What's wrong with Green Bay offensively? What's wrong?
Boy, boy, oh boy. I mean, the fans were, the Packer fans are the most loyal fans on God's earth, right? They were booing last night. And
so what is it? Is it Rodgers? Is it the scheme being simple to figure out after all these years with Rodgers and Mike McCarthy?
Yeah, and
what is it, Steve?
there's something. I think Aaron's pressed, and I think I don't want to say he's lost his confidence because he's a confident guy, but he looks like he's pressing a little bit and getting frustrated with himself, with his receivers, with the score, with the play calling, with whatever, and he's just not that same, hey, relax, I got this, They don't, Eddie Lacy's limping around. Their backup is a receiver at running back. They got to get healthy at running back. They've got to get ready. They got to get healthy at the corner spot on defense. They're just out of whack, and that's a surprise for me. I thought with Jordy Nelson coming back, that would really make a difference, and they'd be like they were 2 years ago. They're not.
So we're going to talk about this on Thursday night because it's coming up just 3 days from now against the Bears. They could, you know what I mean? Like they could use like a Jordan Howard type. They could use a Jeffrey. You know what I mean? Like I understand that Jordy Nelson is dynamic and Randall Cobb can be as well. It just doesn't seem to be that person. Even though they have some bold-faced names on it, they just don't have that young, dynamic star that's budding.
Adams over there, the young receiver they got from Fresno State, is all right. He's all right. He's not that great speed, great quickness kind of guy. He's just okay at everything. But you know what, Rich?
Yeah.
This Bear Packer thing, you know what? Aaron Rodgers owns these guys, and they might get healthy real fast on Thursday Night Football against the Bears. Brian Hoyer's been playing better than expected. He might keep Cutler on the bench forever, but I think the Packers got a chance to get their confidence back on Thursday night over there against these Bears, and then they're back in it and on a roll.
What do you do if you're Tomlin? Do you just stick with Landry Jones until Ben gets better? I know they snapped up Zach Mettenberger when he got released during the offseason. What do you think, Steve? What do they do?
Yeah, I mean, did you hear something how bad Ben is? He sure didn't look good yesterday. The Pittsburgh Steelers. There's so many surprises in the league this year with teams you think they're going to be good, and all of a sudden they're just nothing. And Pittsburgh Steelers, I thought for sure would be one of the three top teams in the AFC, and then they get blown out by Carson Wentz, and then they look awful against the Miami Dolphins, who aren't very good, and they're so inconsistent. And then, Ben's got to be healthy, but we've seen him suck it up before and play well. But their defense isn't playing well. They're not running the ball like we thought they might. And I don't know. I don't know. Who do the Steelers have next?
The Patriots.
Oh, oops.
Yeah, and that's what I said before is that Patriot fans should soft book their flights because you never know. For Houston, get there whenever you want. I'm serious. Who is going to be consistent enough? Even if you give the Bills a win over New England when New England visits them in Western New York, it's always crazy there, as you know.
Yeah.
Even if they do that, will they have enough wins to win the AFC East? So the third matchup would be back in Buffalo. Can Rex beat the Patriots 3 times in 1 year? I mean, even that.
No, with Tom Brady at quarterback.
Right. So who's the team that's gonna go into Foxborough and win in January? In the AFC,
yeah,
who's going to do that?
Because Denver all of a sudden looks very pedestrian in some ways, and the Raiders are just young and up and coming. The Chiefs are still trying to dig out from their hole, and it just looks like nobody. Because I thought the Steelers and the Broncos would be better than they are, and it looks like the Patriots division are to win, and I mean. No kidding. They're going to win it.
Yeah.
They're going to have home field advantage again.
That's what I'm saying, and the way it currently looks after 6 weeks. And what do you think the Ron Rivera and the Panthers are going to go through in their bye week right now, sitting at 1-5?
This is another shocker in the National Football League because, when we started this whole thing, I think we all felt that Arizona and Carolina would be the teams to beat and end up in the championship game possibly. But, all of a sudden, you got the Vikings going, whoa, there's something else. How about the Falcons? There's something else. Seahawks aren't going away. Packers, they're not the same. And this Carolina team, they go from 15-1 to 1-5. And darn it, Cam, he's good when they win. And boy, is he bad when they lose. And he's bad on the field, and he's bad in the press conference. I wish he would just snap out of that.
Well, how do you do that? How do you?
I don't know. I don't know who he listens to. Dion was talking about it on his show last night too. He's just, he dresses nice for the press conferences, but come on, be a pro and answer the questions, and you got to be a good sport when you lose too, because we all lose, and be good at it. And he's like a different human being when they lose and when things aren't going right.
All right, Mooch, see you in a few days. Just 3 days for Week 7 kickoff, Packers-Bears on the network.
Tape your ankles, 193rd time that these teams are going to hit it. Oh, man, it's going to be fun.
Thanks, Mooch. Chat soon. That's at Steve Mariucci on Twitter.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.